I was left out of my own family reunion. Here is what really happened. Oh, you are not going to believe this. You know how in a movie, the main character is going about their life and then one tiny detail unravels everything they thought was true? That was me. I was just chilling on a Sunday, scrolling on my phone, minding my own business, when I saw a picture that literally stopped my heart. It felt like my entire world, which I thought was this solid, stable thing, was actually a movie set and someone had just pulled the curtain back to reveal the cameras and the crew. The picture was of my entire family. My whole universe of people. They were at our huge annual reunion, this sacred tradition we've had for as long as I can remember. The only problem? No one told me about it. I wasn't just forgotten, like a misplaced set of keys. I was erased. Deliberately removed from the equation. It was like I was a character who had been written out of the show. And the reason why, the reason is one of the most insane, intricately woven secrets I have ever uncovered. This story isn't just about a party. It's about a quiet, invisible war that had been waged against me for over a decade, and I was the last person to find out. This is crazy, okay, so picture this. It's a Sunday afternoon. The kind of lazy Sunday where the world feels soft and slow. I'm curled up on my couch, wrapped in a blanket, scrolling through social media like a normal person. It was a peaceful, unremarkable moment. Then bam. My thumb freezes on the screen. It was a post from my aunt. The caption was bursting with exclamation points, "Best family reunion ever. So much love." And the photo with it, it was this massive group shot. A sea of familiar faces, all beaming under the sun at my uncle's lake house. They were all there. It was like a roll call of my life. My dad, front and center, with his arm wrapped tightly around my stepmother, Claire, both of them smiling like they didn't have a care in the world. My siblings, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, literally everyone. My hand was literally shaking as I zoomed in. I was scanning every face, my heart pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird. I was searching for myself, expecting to find my own face tucked away in a corner. But as I scanned from left to right, this insane, cold feeling washed over me. Every single person was there. Except me. At first, my brain just couldn't process it. It was like looking at a puzzle with a piece missing, and that piece was me. My mind scrambled for a logical explanation. This has to be a mistake, right? I thought. The invite got lost in the mail? My email ate it? We have this reunion every single year. It's as reliable as the seasons changing. It's the one event that anchors our family. How could they forget me? Forgetting me would be like forgetting to put up a Christmas tree. It just doesn't happen. But then my feed became a minefield. I saw another post. And then another. My entire social media feed, which was a source of mindless distraction just moments before, had transformed into a highlight reel of the party I was supposed to be at. There was a video of my cousins doing a cannonball contest off the dock. A boomerang of my sister and stepsister clinking glasses of rose. A photo series of the big barbecue, with everyone laughing, mouths full of food. It was a parade of joy, a celebration of a family I thought was mine, and I was watching it all through a screen, like a ghost peering into the world of the living. The comments were a stream of pure poison. "Looks so fun. Wish I was there," and I just laughed, a bitter, hollow sound in my empty apartment. Yeah, I bet it was fun. It's probably easier to have fun when the inconvenient part of the family isn't there. And just when I thought it couldn't get any crazier, my phone rings. It's my dad. But it goes to voicemail. And the message he left, it was the final, brutal piece of evidence. It wasn't just a smoking gun, it was a signed confession. Listen to this. His voice is so cheerful, so completely oblivious. "Hey. Just calling to say the reunion was amazing. Really great turnout this year. So sorry we missed you. Wish you could have been here. Did you get stuck in traffic or something? Anyway, call me back. Love you." Traffic? He thought I was invited and just didn't show up? That I had blown off the single most important family event of the year? That casual, offhand question was like a key turning in a lock. It opened a door in my mind to a room I never knew existed, a room filled with years of slights and quiet dismissals. That's when I knew. 100%. This was not an accident. This was an assassination, carried out with a smile and a forwarded evite. This was deliberate. This was on purpose. And I knew exactly who was holding the weapon, my stepmother, Claire. So my stepmom, Claire, has always been a little weird with me. For years. She entered my life like a new character in a show's later seasons, one that changes the whole dynamic. She married my dad when I was 10, a few years after my mom passed away. On the surface, she was the picture of a perfect new wife, all bright smiles and warm casseroles. But underneath that shiny veneer, she immediately drew a line in the sand. It was like she was a settler in a new land, and my existence was a reminder of the previous occupants. It was her family, and then there was me. I was the living, breathing artifact of my dad's life before her, and she treated me like an old photograph she wanted to put in a drawer. She had her 2 kids from a previous marriage, and then she and my dad had my half-brother. And with his birth, their perfect little core family was complete. It was a fortress, and I was permanently on the outside of the walls. For years, she's done these super subtle things to cut me out. It was like a slow-acting poison, administered in such small doses that I barely noticed I was getting sick. It was death by 1,000 paper cuts. For example, we'd be taking a big family photo, and just as everyone was smiling, she'd clap her hands and say brightly, "Okay, great. Now, just like kids and your dad." I would have to physically step out of the frame, standing awkwardly on the sidelines while they created their real family portrait. It was social surgery, and I was the part being amputated. The ultimate example was the time I was at their house and I found a framed family portrait on the mantelpiece. I looked closer and felt that same cold dread from the reunion photo. It was a picture I remembered taking, but I wasn't in it. They had literally cropped me out. The edge of the frame sliced right through my shoulder. When I asked her about it, my voice trembling, she didn't even flinch. She just said, "Oh, the frame was a really weird size, honey. I had to make it fit." She said it so casually, as if she were talking about trimming a plant. She made me feel like my presence was an inconvenience to her home decor. Can you believe that? Her favorite phrase, her secret weapon, was core family. She'd use it to delineate who truly mattered. It was her verbal red marker, circling her, my dad, and her biological children, leaving me just outside the line. Holidays were the absolute worst. It was like an annual performance of my second-class status. My stepsister would get a designer bag, my stepbrother a new gaming console, my half-brother the latest gadget, and I'd get a $20 gift card to a chain restaurant. It wasn't about the money, it was the message. It was a calculation of my worth. And my dad, he would just look at me with these sad, pleading eyes, a silent message begging me not to cause a scene. He just wanted a peaceful life, and I was starting to realize my happiness was the price of that peace. So after that insane voicemail from my dad, my mind was racing. I needed confirmation. I called my cousin Sarah, the one I'd always been closest to. The moment she answered, I could tell she was hiding something. Her voice got all weird and high-pitched. It was like she was walking on eggshells. I didn't beat around the bush. I just said, "Sarah, I didn't get an invite to the reunion." And then there was this huge, deafening pause on the other end of the line. A pause so long I could hear the gears turning in her head. Then, she dropped her voice to a whisper, like she was a spy passing on classified information. "Oh. That's really weird. I think Claire was in charge of all the invites this year." Bingo. That was it. That was the missing piece. It was like a movie flashback. I remembered a conversation from last year's reunion. Claire, telling my aunt that the planning was too chaotic and that she wanted to streamline the process. She'd volunteered to handle all communications. This wasn't streamlining. This was a hostile takeover. This was a corporate raid on my family, executed so she could control the guest list. She had seized the means of communication so she could control who was in, and who was out. I got in my car and drove straight to their house. My hands were gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles were white. My anger wasn't a hot, screaming rage. It was a cold, focused fury. It was like a laser beam. I wasn't going to scream, I wasn't going to cry. I just wanted the truth. For over a decade, I'd been living in a fog of self-doubt, wondering if I was too sensitive, if I was imagining things. Now the fog was gone, and I was going to walk right into the eye of the storm. I didn't even knock. I just walked right in. And the scene that greeted me was so perfectly, poetically ironic it was almost unbelievable. There they were, my dad and Claire, sitting on the couch, looking at the exact same reunion photos on a digital tablet. They were reliving the happy memories they had created by erasing me. The timing was a slap in the face. My dad's face was a mask of complete shock. He looked up, confused, like I was an apparition. Elena! What are you doing here? I just held up my phone, my own screen displaying the picture of their happy, complete family. My voice was totally quiet, eerily calm. I came to see the reunion pictures. They look great. Everyone looks so happy. You guys, Claire's face went completely white. She looked like a vampire who had just seen the sun. All the color drained from her cheeks. She immediately started lying, her words stumbling over each other in a desperate attempt to build a wall. Oh, Elena, honey. It was super last minute. We just threw it together, it was all so rushed. Last minute? I shot back, my voice finally rising. Last minute? Aunt Carol posted about her flight from Oregon a month ago. The entire extended family, from 3 different states, managed to get the last-minute memo. How did the entire family know except for me? Dad thought I just blew it off. You let him think I didn't care about my own family. And you could just see the look on my dad's face change. It was a slow-motion transformation, from confusion to suspicion, and finally, to absolute horror. The gears were turning. He looked at Claire, really looked at her, maybe for the first time. Claire? What is she talking about? That's when the waterworks started. Claire starts crying, but they're not real tears. They were tactical tears, a smokescreen. She was producing them on demand, like a Hollywood actress. I thought you were busy. With work and everything. I didn't want to bother you. Bother me? I literally laughed. It was a sound devoid of any humor. You didn't bother me, Claire. You erased me. This wasn't about my schedule. For years, you've been cutting me out, piece by piece, talking about your core family, your blood family. You've been chipping away at my place in this family like a sculptor, except you weren't creating something, you were destroying it. And now you just stole my family reunion from me. And then, she revealed the craziest, most twisted part of her logic. She sobbed, real sobs this time, but they were sobs of self-pity, not remorse. You don't get it. When I married your father, my boys had already lost so much from their own divorce. And you were always the real daughter, the original. Every time he was proud of you, every time he mentioned a memory with your mom, I felt like my kids were losing. Like there was a finite amount of love and you were taking their share. I could not believe what I was hearing. She saw my father's love as a zero-sum game. She thought that for her children to win, I had to lose. So you pushed me out, to make your kids feel better? You handicapped me in some sick, twisted emotional race? You decided I wasn't core family enough? And then the final bomb drops. My dad, who had been sitting there like a statue, finally spoke. But he didn't look at me. He looked at his hands. He admitted, in a voice so small I could barely hear it, I knew. I didn't know about the reunion, but I saw the little things. The pictures. The gifts. I didn't want to fight. I was afraid of losing her. He had been a silent accomplice. He wasn't just a bystander, he enabled the whole thing. He was the soil in which her poison grew, the room was dead silent. A silence so heavy it felt like you could drown in it. My half-sister, who had been sitting in the corner, was just staring at the floor, refusing to meet my eyes. And in that moment, I realized the conspiracy was wider than I ever imagined. They all probably knew. Maybe not about the reunion specifically, but about the campaign. They were all in on it with their silence. They were all actors in this long-running play, and everyone knew their part except for me. This perfect family was built on a giant lie, a foundation of exclusion, and I was the sacrifice they had laid on the altar. Protecting them? I said, my voice finally shaking with the weight of it all. You didn't protect anyone, Claire. You poisoned them. You taught your children, and mine, that it's okay to push someone else down to get ahead. That love is a limited resource you have to hoard. And you, I looked right at my dad, my anchor, my hero, who now looked like a stranger. You let her do it. For years I thought I was crazy. I thought I was too sensitive. I gaslit myself because I couldn't believe my own family would be so cruel. But I wasn't imagining it. This was real. I didn't even wait for them to respond. I couldn't hear any more excuses. Their apologies would be like putting a band-aid on a gaping wound. I had to get out of there. I turned and walked out, leaving them in the wreckage of the truth. This wasn't just about a party. This was about being treated like a ghost in my own family for my entire adult life. This was about them holding a funeral for my place in the family and never telling me I had died. So it's been a few months now, and I've been doing a lot of emotional archaeology. Digging through years of memories, re-examining them in this new, harsh light. And honestly, finding out the truth, even though it was insane and devastating, was the most freeing thing that has ever happened to me. The validation was like a deep, cleansing breath after holding it for a decade. I wasn't crazy. It was real. I've spent this time rebuilding. Not my relationship with them, but my relationship with myself. And I set a brand new rule. A boundary made of steel. I sent them one final email, and I made it 100% clear. There is no core family. There is no blood family. Those are imaginary lines drawn by insecurity. There is only family. It's either all of us, or it's none of us. If I am not welcome and wanted at every single event, every holiday, every dinner, then don't expect me at any of them. My presence is not a negotiation. The aftermath has been telling. My dad has been calling nonstop, leaving these long, rambling, sad voicemails that are heavy with regret. He sounds like a man who has woken up from a long sleep and is horrified by where he is. Claire even sent a really awkward, stiff apology letter, full of justifications dressed up as remorse. I guess it's a start, but trust isn't something you can just superglue back together. It's like a shattered vase, even if you piece it together, the cracks are always there. So I'm building my own core family now. A family chosen by love and loyalty, not by obligation. My friends, who have been my true anchors all along, have rallied around me. They are the ones who show up, no invitation needed. I don't know what will happen with my dad and them. Maybe one day we can rebuild, but it will be on a whole new foundation, one that I help lay. But for the first time in a very, very long time, I'm not scared. I'm not the girl they cropped out of the picture anymore. Now, I'm holding the camera, and I decide who's in the shot. This is the craziest, most painful thing that's ever happened to me, but it's also made me stronger than I ever thought possible. Now I have to ask you guys, what would you have done? Would you have been as calm? Would you have forgiven them? Let me know in the comments below, because I read every single one, and I need to know I'm not alone in this. And if you think this story is as insane as I do, and you want to follow my journey of rebuilding, smash that subscribe button. Share and like to help us grow. Thanks for listening.